So you
my
thought a
beer.
great movie was really bad, and want to hear why? And then
I thought a great movie was really bad.
Nosferatu was really good. It was well done.
So, uh, it
Okay,
was
long story short, intro. We both saw Nosferatu. I thought it was excellent, if not Egger's most interesting movie by far. Brooks did not.
no. I actually found it to be probably his most lacking that I've seen of his.
I will actually agree with that, but it's also Robert Eggers. So I'll agree with that though. Yeah.
I have a lot of issues with it. I have a lot of issues with it. Let's start from what it does well.
Okay.
Eggers has a very, very particular style of filmmaking that is on its face immersive. Like the way he handles shots, how they're how they're like composed, the lighting, the style, how he sits on them, things are engrossing, just sort of naturally within his films. That's one of the things that really stood out to me about Nosferatu is the angle of shots, the way he sort of hovered on darkness,
Yes.
really phenomenal. His craft is excellent.
Well, I think one of the things I really loved about the cinematography in this one is that it took the kinds of shots that would have been rudimentary and primitive, the kinds of things that you would see in like the original Nosferatu, where it's like it's presented as if it's on a literal stage, as you can see here, and they're stage hands moving things symmetrically, but he elevates it. He executes it extremely well, and it has that uncanniness that older films had, but done in a way where it amplifies the sort of dreamlike effect that it has on viewing. No, you disagree? He even does that in the lighthouse in that scene where
Did I say I disagree?
you were shaking your head.
No, I'm enjoying my beer. Sorry, that was not a no to you.
You were shaking your head
I
at
was
your
like,
beer. Well, I'm sorry that your beer is also correct about Nosferatu, even if you weren't.
it's ridiculous. It's a Jester King. If you're unaware of Jester King as a brewery, it's an excellent brewery. This is the Jester King Color 5. Beautiful bottle. Barrel aged, re-fermented with blueberries.
Chilean
Phenomenal
wine
beer.
in a steel cup. I haven't done my dishes, okay? My
I
wine
even have
glasses are
my
all out.
I even got out my horrifying nerd glass for this. So that's the good part.
Um,
That's it. That's it.
I disagree. I think
Every single actor in it is shit. The story is
what?
terrible. The actors are terrible.
I thought the actor who did. I thought the actor who did Orlok was great.
He's fine
I thought
at
the actor
best.
who did. Oh shoot, what's his name? I know his name in Dracula. What's the realtor boss guy who's like the secret rat correspondent to Orlok?
Don't care.
He's good.
Really?
Yeah, he's good.
How?
He sells it. He's good. He's got that like
He didn't for me.
really.
She's the worst. She's hands down the worst part of the film, without even question to me. Uh, Weird, unsellable emotion that I never connected with throughout the entire film. Like horrifyingly. From the moment she was on screen, I didn't buy her weird dispossessed 1,000 yard stares. I didn't get her as a
But
character.
I think that's deliberate. I
Okay, so the
legitimately
shittiness is deliberate. Gotcha.
no, not the shittiness. I think like this shot, for example, in the trailer that you're looking at right now, the one just before this with the children screaming, that is a comical, tropey, outdated type of shot that is inorganic. That's deliberate. When you see like in that scene
Which can
where
work perfectly fine for you.
in
I'm
that
not
scene,
gonna. I
no,
It
no,
didn't
but
work at all for
hang
me.
on. I'm going somewhere with this. In that scene, just as by way of illustration, in that scene where the carriage comes to pick up, I can't remember his name, not John Harker. Not John Harker. He's going to be called Not John Harker. In that scene where Not John Harker is being approached by Orlok's empty carriage to take him to the castle, right? Like that is a scene that looks campy. It looks like something you would see in a really dated silent film. And that's what he's going for. he wants the silent film feel, but elevated with modern technology and filmmaking techniques. And I think he did a really good job there. And I think that character's stilted sort of like stage actor
Oh, she's so
performance
awful.
is
And I felt
deliberate.
this dude, all right, he probably tried his best. The problem is I literally cannot see him. Like, the problem is he's playing the same exact role.
That's Tyler's bullshit.
What?
He's Tyler from the menu. That's why you can't handle it.
Oh,
He's in
no,
everything
no.
Actually, you know what I found really...
He plays the same character with Nicolas Cage. That's the problem. Renfeld? Did you see Renfeld?
No, I was just looking. I want to say Renford, but Renfeld, the guy I just said was an okay actor, the rat guy. That's his foil. I like that he was in 2 Dracula movies
playing the same guy and was actually better in the other one.
No, because Renfield is Renfield's the crazy guy in the asylum. You're thinking of John Harker is the guy.
I know the literal person is different. He played.
No, but Renfield
the same
in
character.
Dracula is literally like his.
No,
boss,
I don't care
like
about their names. The archetypical character that he played as the servant confused guy who's sort of involved with Dracula, not sure what he's going to do and trying to get out of it, is literally what he did the entire film. Like,
no, because he's not involved with Orlok. Orlok's a client for his company.
Yes, he's unwittingly playing the same character.
He escapes from Orlok's castle once. They're very different. They don't have that kind of relationship that Renfield and Dracula have.
No, I know you're describing it as nuance. He's the main character underneath a main guy who's super creepy, and I just couldn't see him. He plays much better, and I think he sold it much better.
Oh, you mean as a foil to the creepy guy?
Yeah.
But that's everybody, sure? I guess.
I still think he was better in that.
Everyman. This is who you would be thrust into this situation.
Would I? Like, no. Again,
no, look at you.
I think the moment
you'd be Orlok, if anything.
I think. Well, again, here we start getting into like, and again, I don't give a fuck about any of the characters' names. Willem Dafoe, his character makes almost no sense why he does what he does when he does towards the end of it.
Because here's the thing, his character doesn't have a place in the story because Nosferatu isn't about Dracula and it doesn't have Van Helsing in it. So what they did something very strange. They took Nosferatu, which was its own thing. It was a ripoff in concept from Dracula, but it also did things that were different, like the rat plague and so on and so forth. And Orlok himself was a different type of character. It's why he's always a monster. He doesn't like present as human or whatever. They took elements from Anthony Hopkins' version of Van Helsing, and they inserted into a story in which he has literally nothing to do. And it was really frustrating.
I'm not disagreeing with this.
He literally does nothing in the story.
So here's the thing. Willem Dafoe, I don't think wasn't trying in this film. And he is a master at what he does. And especially with this director, he plays fucking weird super well.
Yes.
Not in this movie. In this movie,
no, this movie
it didn't work at all.
Strange. Like the scene when they first meet him in his like apartment, and it's like it's this kooky professor's apartment. He's got like a bunch of stuff. He's got like his weird nightcap on, and it's like you're just playing good guy lighthouse keeper from the lighthouse. It's the same role. Like
except shittier because the other role gave him a chance to really have fun with it and was treated with, I think, a lot more care. Like the lighthouse. And I will say this is not that I don't like Eggers. I consider The Lighthouse to be one of the better films. But this movie, we'll get to like my biggest problem with it.
Phenomenal.
We'll get to my biggest problem with this film at the end. But there's a couple other things. So, what country does this take place in? Because I'm trying to understand how geography works, where he took a horse in a day's or two ride to get there, but then Nosferatu himself took a boat back somehow.
Hang on. So it takes place basically in Ukraine, right? So it's
no. I actually looked through the script. I actually kind of know the answer.
It's in Germany. So it takes place in the fictional German town of Visborg, where everybody speaks English in a British accent,
except for Willem Dafoe. Because that makes a lot of sense. He's the British guy. He's Van Helsing. He's actually the German. but he speaks with no accent. He's an American accent.
Oh, you're right. He's the
So he's literally the only German guy, but the other characters have British names. The other characters have British names. It's
Here's the
weird.
thing. I would have been fine. Oh, it's like
when he took the boat back, I was like, wait, why is he taking a boat?
well, I think the logic is that traveling by land with the giant coffin would be extremely difficult, in addition to the fact that according to vampire lore, vampires cannot cross running bodies of water. So he can't go over rivers. So they have to take, I think.
So here's the thing. I don't give a shit, whatever you're about to say, because they never said this in the fucking movie. So if you want to add vampire lore to this, that's fine. But this was never said in the fucking movie.
It's fine. But also, by the same token, they didn't actually specify the geography, which is raising the issues that you're bringing up. So I'm going to put that right back at you.
They actually do bring up the geography.
Did they? I can't remember.
Yes, they do. They actually talk about the German town that they're in, where they're going
but
to,
it's
which
fictional. It's a fictional Germany. It's a fictional Germany that faces the ocean. Okay.
But they say where they're going and the town they're going to, which is in southern eastern fucking.
No, Germany's
Europe.
not. No. Germany's not landlocked. Germany faces the Baltic Sea, so you can.
The Baltic Sea, sure.
Yeah.
Where do you think Nosferatu is? Do you think he's along the northern coast? No.
He turned into a wolf and he relocated to a coastal city and he went from there, okay? As he is known to do. And he dug underground when it was daytime, like in Minecraft.
That part I found confusing. I also think the voice is the stupidest fucking voice they could have ever chosen.
For Orlok?
Nosferatu.
I like the voice. No, I actually that part at first I was like, okay, I didn't dig it, but then later on I did, and I'll tell you why.
Because you realized he was a gigantic purring cat.
No, it's when I noticed his movements, because those were very interesting. The way he walks. So in that scene where he signed the papers and he walks away with the amulet or the locket, right? He's like, "Wait, you got my locket." And as he's walking away, it was very strange because he seemed to be like stepping as if all of his limbs were on strings. And what they were going for, and I think they actually succeeded, is the idea that this is not
the worst fucking voice ever.
This is not a man. This is stupid. Something else that is manipulating a corpse and is basically operating his ribcage like a bellows, which is why he's constantly exhaling. Like,
yeah, except like they never substantiated anything of what you said, and you're talking about some slight movement of how he operated.
They don't have it's
because he had a puppet.
They don't have
because he was a puppet. Because it was a puppet in special effect. Like they did that.
Yeah.
So you're talking about like the. So wait. Oh, see, this is why all of these things are like. Every one of these like annoys, and they annoy a little bit more, and they continually annoy more, and it becomes weird things like. Why did she so I have so many questions about the final scene. Spoilers. Nosferatu kills her in the end, like sexually, effectively. Like he cucks the main character. And how? Like how? Because he starts eating her boob, but she has no wounds.
We can't actually establish this on screen, but I don't know.
We can on screen, absolutely. No, you can establish that she has no wounds, and you can see the wound actually earlier. Just so you know, I can send you the screenshots. My brother and I went through this very confused, trying to figure out, so was it in her head? Was it just blood we saw? No, there's a gaping wound in her chest, and he eats. But then there's no wound on her chest later. The sun heals her, is what someone told me, which I fucking love answers like that. Why did she know the sun would kill him? Why did the sun kill him? I know that he's a vampire. I'm not stupid, but again, literally never established in any way that he's actually a vampire.
How do you tell that there's no wound on her when she's like got Orlok on top of her in the last scene? You can't see her chest.
There's actually a scene, if you rewind slightly, you can. And the wound is particularly her upper breast here.
Oh yeah, you're right. Okay.
And that's like
okay, continuity error. Okay,
that's it's kind of a big. We watch her like it's So if there is a thing that I dig about the idea of vampires is that they are passion, desire, sexuality as a force. And that's what they feed off of. And I like the plays of that. I like the language of it, the mythology. I think it's very fascinating. So when they're effectively having sex and he's feeding on her and she's giving herself to him, and it's kind of this interesting exchange, despite his voice, which is like the least erotic. This is like not even slightly interestingly erotic, even in like a gross way. Like,
no, the mustache really escalates that element.
and again,
well. Like it's
like
gross.
Society as a movie does erotic in really gross, fucked up ways that makes you uncomfortable. This was just like
gross.
What?
Yeah.
Huh? So all of that, how did anyone know that he would die? How did she know? Why wouldn't Dracula care? Like, why wouldn't Nosferatu go, hey, oh shit, sunrise is in an hour. I'm going to eat you tomorrow. Can I eat you tomorrow?
Well, I think the implication was that she was some other kind of entity as well. And so he was essentially hypnotized in reverse, which is why he didn't notice that the sun was coming up.
So here's why all this is a problem, though. Nosferatu, which, as you said, is a ripoff of Dracula, the original film actually establishes all of these rules.
Yeah.
They actually go through it because it doesn't matter if you know what Dracula is. Even people back then knew what it was. It's in the story. We need to know what works because some things don't, as they revealed. Shit that we assume works on Dracula doesn't. And they go out of their way to show us that, well, this is a little bit of a different thing. Maybe he's not a Dracula. He is. They're lying to you and they're faking it the whole time. And so, what are the rules?
I mean, no. He is different. Like they're.
But no, that's what that he's different is my point.
Yes.
Because as soon as you go, well, he's not normal vampire. It's like, oh, so then you get to choose whatever rules do and don't work without having to ever establish them and have them pay off in any meaningful way. The answer is yes. Gets to do whatever he fucking wants. And I found that it was a very unsatisfying film in that side. Again, I very much dig the visuals, and I found the score haunting. I found the sound design especially pretty good, except for the voice, which I thought was awful. The death scene for Van Helsing was, why did he die? Why did he burn himself alive?
Van Helsing didn't burn himself alive.
He did. He stayed.
No, he left. He's in the last scene.
Right, but
he shows up. He shows up in the
They
room.
ran out and he stayed there, and then he's in the last scene.
He stayed there to continue burning down the crypt.
How was he behind them then?
What's that?
They went right to it. So how was he behind them?
And they burned it down, and then he continued burning it down. And then after they left, running back to the house where Nosferatu
he ran faster than them.
No,
to catch up.
He was behind them. Like
but by 10 feet. By not,
we don't know
not
how
like
we don't know
5
how
minutes.
long they were there. We don't know how long they were there.
No, we don't. We just know that they ran and he stayed doing things, and then he's there.
But he didn't burn alive. He got back to the house and he was alive.
Why? Why did he stay and continue to burn it? What is his thing? What is his drive? Who is this character?
Because I think the idea was that in the event that they were wrong, because they were experimenting. In the event that they were wrong, and she wasn't able to keep him there till sunlight, he wouldn't have safe harbor at the crypt. So they were hedging their bets, essentially. Which I think is fair.
Here's my biggest issue with
what would probably actually happen.
Have you... did you ever see the movie House That Jack Built?
No.
So House That Jack Built, a lot of people really like. It's another auteur filmmaker who I really like. He's a creator of Nymphomania series. And God damn it, my brain is not working for me today. Sorry. Wonderful filmmaker. God damn it, you're killing my brain fucking today. One sec, I'll just fucking Google it. Lars van Trier. So Lars van Trier, who I adored all of his films up until House That Jack Built. I mean, I loved his movies. I have them all on Blu-ray. I had the Criterion Collection. I adored his films for a long time. But House That Jack Built was a unique thing he did that was kind of like to Lars van Trier. When I say that, it's like it did all of his things in a way that was very open and very particular, and in a way that if you took 5 minutes, and my brain couldn't help but do it, you could see those same techniques in all of his previous films. And suddenly the magic disappeared for all of his other movies for me because of how House That Jack Built was made. It's not saying any of them are bad films. They're still great films, but I couldn't enjoy them anymore. I am terrified now to watch The Lighthouse again because there's stuff in Nosferatu that I went, oh, that's, my brain started seeing, oh, this is how he did, this is how he drove this kind of feeling in The Witch. This is how he did it there. And my brain is like protecting me from doing it with The Lighthouse because I really, really love The Lighthouse. But I feel like it's my biggest gripe is it's so blatantly the filmmaker's own fingerprint on something that is so not his own that you can actually extricate his fingerprint and see it retroactively in the things that he's made. Does that make sense as I say it?
Yeah, no. This was Nosferatu by way of the director of The Lighthouse.
And
it did feel like the guy who did The Lighthouse just did Nosferatu in the style of The Lighthouse.
And it was like when Gus Van Sant did Psycho, same thing. It made all of Gus Van Sant's other movies go, oh, fuck, this is how he does his thing.
And it annoyed me because The Lighthouse is really good as like an original creation.
It's a masterpiece of originality.
When he writes his own stuff, it's really good. And I felt like this was like Django Unchained, which in my opinion, honestly, was the worst Quentin Tarantino film. Why? Because it was literally him taking his style and doing a thing with it instead of just making a movie.
I actually really agree with you on that, which I didn't think I would agree with you on Tarantino thoughts. I put it at the bottom of all of his films because, and a lot of people really hate on Hateful Eight. I actually think it's probably one of
Hateful Eight was the thing by way of Tarantino, and it was really good.
But it was Tarantino also at his best, I think. Yes. Like it was, you could see his fingerprints in there and what he did, but he didn't do it in a way like this, where it's almost him layered on top. You could still feel that it was his creative energy in a lot of choices, including to have, of all people, poke their head up and have their head blown off by a shotgun. Like
yes.
The fun in that film, on top of the darkness, on top of the same stuff that made Reservoir Dogs what it was, that thing is, that's fantastic. Django is very much
it was a good movie. It was just very much like
it had a handful of really great scenes. I'm hesitant to say it was a good movie.
You know what a great example of this is, by the way? Django Unchained was like Quentin Tarantino's Breath of the Wild.
No, Django Unchained was his
it was his Elden. No, it was his Elden Ring. Okay,
so no. Django was just weak because at the same time
you're just going to disagree with me that it's his Elden Ring. Just to not allow me to elaborate.
I don't care about Elden Ring, so it's hard for me to know how it would do it.
Oh my god!
But
okay, it's got really good. But bits.
Bookending that, you've got like Kill Bill. The duology of Kill Bill is like, to me, there's a reason Tarantino hasn't gone back to that pool of the Pulp Fiction Reservoir Dog thing, because Kill Bill won. Like that's the end of that era. So that's why he started striking out and trying to do the Western thing. Django was his first try on that. I mean, it's his true romance to his later films. It's fine. It's just not good. It hit a few things. Hateful Eight is the masterpiece of masterpiece. I was fortunate to see it in 70 millimeter Panavision at the Cinerama Dome in LA, and where they actually had the fucking halftime, where the break, and everyone went out and everyone's like having to relax. It was amazing to watch it straight through. And I still think it's one of my favorite films. Like Hateful Eight is a masterpiece, but it didn't retroactively ruin other works for him, because I didn't care for Django, and the other stuff stands on its own. Lars von Trier, I can't go back. I watch Magnolia. God damn it!
Like the thing that I don't like.
This happened like 8 years ago now. And
I think Nosferatu
ruined me.
I think Nosferatu is a good movie overall, but I think I agree with you on this point.
Melancholia, thank you.
One of the things that I left, I left it with was this: horrible idea because I think he was planning to do the Wolfman next, and all I was thinking at the end when I heard that is like, oh, so it's going to be the Wolfman, but with the cinematography of the Lighthouse, and halfway through, Willem Dafoe is going to show up, and he's going to play the same character. And I already know what this movie is, and it's going to be worse than the one with
because
it's going to be less inventive. Because like here's the thing,
Nosferatu is a fingerprint.
Yeah, yeah, but here's the thing.
I'm not saying it's badly made.
This isn't your show. This is our show. Here's the thing. When in like the who was it? It wasn't Coppola. Who did the was it Coppola? Who did the Dracula with Gary Oldman?
That's a great question.
It was Coppola. It was Coppola.
It was Coppola.
Okay, that's right. Why did I doubt that? When they introduce Van Helsing's character, they introduce him early, and he's a
God
scientist.
damn, that movie was good.
It was the non-shitty version of this movie.
Yes, I
like
agree.
both of them. And I like both of them. In fact, here's the thing: the introduction of Dracula is closer to the introduction of Orlok than the introduction of Orlok in the actual Nosferatu is to the introduction of Orlok in the original Nosferatu.
I don't know these characters' names.
Okay, well, you know what Nosferatu is.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know the extended universe of Dracula. I'm sorry.
I'm talking about Dracula and Nosferatu as two separate entities. Orlok is what Dracula is called in Nosferatu.
Yes, and Kite Man is who? Sorry, go ahead.
So in Nosferatu, the introduction of Orlok has more in common with the introduction of Dracula in Coppola's Dracula than it does with Orlok in the two previous versions of Nosferatu. It's very similar. They even do similar things like shadows and whatnot, where it's like he like appears in different parts of the room. He's like this shadow is moving on the wall independently, and it's campy, but it works. I think that's the one scene I think in Nosferatu that was done like exceptionally well. They did the thing from Coppola's Dracula slightly better in terms of it being intimidating and being like wrong seeming. I wish it had taken more time, but which is a weird thing to say for a movie that drags as much as this one does.
So,
yeah.
And again, I'm not sure it was necessarily a remake, but did you ever see Herzog's Nosferatu, which is what
that's what I was talking about. The one actually, did you know about Herzog's Nosferatu? They literally released like thousands of rats, and they just released an actual plague of rats in the town they were filming in.
I believe that.
It's.
I believe that. That's a Herzog thing to do. That's without a question a Herzog thing to do.
Yeah. And it's a cool shot because they have them all like outside, like just eating and going about their day with like thousands of rats around, but then they couldn't get a hold of them afterwards.
Yeah, we have this story as a thing. I can name 3 movies that are better than it that are the same story, effectively. And it's kind of like they're not as beautifully shot. I would say Coppola's doesn't have the panache that this one does, because again, Eggers, his visual, he's phenomenal at framing and setting things up. As you mentioned, the sort of play or almost flat aesthetic, yes. I adored throughout. It's another movie that I love that did this. You ever see Clute? Almost no one who's your age will. Clute.
K? With a K?
No, it's okay. Clute. Clute. It's a very good film, by the way, but it was shot flat as hell. Here, I'll show.
No, it's with a K. It's with a K.
Klute.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, the Donald Sutherland movie.
Yeah, with Jane Fonda.
Yeah. I know the cover. I don't know the.
They have a lot of really amazing shots. Like you can see this one. This is a behind the shoulder, over the shoulder shot. But Clute goes out of its way to do a handful of scenes that are straight on to it, and they go out of their way to frame it flat. And it's a thing that you don't see very often because people are trying to do a lot with it, but it's a very unique style Clute really uses a lot. And I mean, Jane Fonda's phenomenal. That's why she won a fucking Oscar. But it's,
Hmm.
It's really interesting how they do that same thing. And it's when you see interesting techniques that are rare, and flat done well is something you don't see. Again, I'm having to pull back to 1979 fucking film that no one's heard of. Like, flat is not done often. That is really cool to be able to see. And I think it's a masterpiece of skill. I just think it's a shitty movie.
I don't think it's a shitty movie, but I agree with your. I think I agree with your criticisms overall. I just don't think it brings it down to the point of being a shitty movie.
No,
I
it's
was
it's how much
engaged.
we weight those things. I don't think. Yeah, generally we
I
don't
think
disagree
I
on the
will. I
things.
look. Hey. I will meet you halfway. It is a really shitty Eggers movie. Like I
It's
was
it's it's
disappointed.
his worst film.
It is his worst film. However, to be clear, Eggers films are phenomenally good. So it's like his worst film is like just a good
Yeah,
film.
that's why I wouldn't say it's his worst film. Like that's not. I would just say it's the least of, I don't know, the four
It's
major
below The
Dracula films.
Witch. Like I personally,
No,
I
no. If
actually
we put it up against Herzog's is better. I actually think Herzog's film is better and more entertaining overall. It's not as well filmed, but I think it hits notes and it does what it does really well. 1992's
I
Dracula,
think they're
which
too
is
different. I think they're too different. I think here's the problem I had with his Nosferatu. It didn't add anything. Um it like he had some interesting ideas in terms of how he depicted Orlok in terms of like sort of the background implied lore of the character and how he functioned. He changed him from being a vampire to being from changing vampires as a thing to being like this is a demonically possessed corpse as opposed to this is a person who has vampirism, quote unquote.
mhm,
Like Dracula in Coppola's Dracula is fundamentally a human character. Orlok in Nosferatu is not a human character. He's prone to like passions and things like that, but he's not human. There's not like a
I agree.
person there that is you're capable of having sympathy with, and that's I think an interesting distinction between
Well,
like
this is the
a
other
lot of
side. Is
modern
like,
depictions of Dracula and like that
but this
particular
is like,
which
what
weirdly, by
is?
the way, which
Oh
weirdly is actually more faithful to the novel Dracula and like to the old like who's that guy who plays Grand Moff Tarkin again? You know the Hammer Dracula with Christopher Lee.
hmm,
Like that
hmm,
yeah, like
um,
it's closer to that one.
God damn it!
Um you forgot the name?
I did,
Um
and I don't know why. Because one of my favorite jobs I had
Steven
was
Stanton. No, it's a voice actor.
that's not him.
No, it's shit.
Um, the actor who played Tarkin, um, we had a 3D sculpt of his
Peter
head.
Cushing. Peter
Yeah,
Cushing.
Peter Cushing. We had a 3D sculpt of his head that was done for the films that was down in LA. And me and another guy had to drive from San Francisco down to LA to deliver it for a 3D scanning shoot for a game. And that was like, I got to carry it in the car. It was like this big ass fucking Cushing
You
head.
got to carry the rape of Peter Cushing's identity in the car.
Yeah, it was a big old head. It's pretty cool.
Um but like here's you know what, honestly, even the old oh what's his name, you know, the classic Dracula, not the Hammer film one, the one before that, the black and white one. What's his name again? Who's that like Eastern European actor? He was also in he was in that movie about the director of the uh Plan 9 from Outer Space. You know what I'm talking about? That Tim it was I think it was a Tim Burton directed, but the one with
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp, yeah.
I don't remember.
Ugh!
Bela Lugosi, Boris
Bill
Karloff.
Bela Lugosi.
Good job, chat.
Um like this one tried to combine weirdly, like this version of Nosferatu was actually closer to the depiction of Dracula in the original novel in terms of like the nature of the character versus every Dracula movie before, with the exception I think of the Hammer one. But also at the same time they tried to bring in like the characters from the Coppola film, like the way in which not like this version of not Van Helsing was basically a combination of the Van Helsing from the Lugosi film and from the Coppola one with Anthony Hopkins. But less somehow. Like he
Yeah.
didn't do anything. We never actually see him. Like the closest we get is like he has like an enlightened view of not restraining people who are in fits, I guess. But we never actually see him like demonstrate any knowledge of anything. He's just kind of kooky and is just sort of open to the idea like, oh, there's a demon or a vampire or something. But that's it. And I think the worst part about this film is it spends so much time on non important characters like the family, like the brother-in-law, when it should be spending time on Willem Dafoe, letting him flesh out a little bit.
I just have like I don't know. Again, all these
Yeah.
things are weighted different for everyone. Again, it's an opinion thing. But all this shit just like made it sink like a goddamn brick, as far as I'm concerned. Just every time I'd go, oh, and then it'd be like, oh, the voice. Oh, and then she's terrible. Like I will fucking just say, I'll die on that
Yeah.
hill is that opinion is just true by
Yeah.
God's will alone. Like she's so awful. I just want her to not be anything again. She's just like, God damn. Oh,
Yeah.
she's awful. But hey, you know what am I to say? Hey, it's just not my movie. Just ain't my movie Sunday.
I liked it. I think it has issues, but I think it was very effective. Um, it has continuity issues that are not explained and are possibly not continuity issues, but it is definitely the weakest of Eggers' movies. Which is I wasn't fond of The Witch, to be honest. Did you like The Witch?
I like The Witch for what it was, and I would probably say,
Like
look,
it's
The
one that I
Lighthouse is
appreciated, but I never
the
watched it
Lighthouse is him refining what The
yet.
Witch kind of was trying to do, and I get it. And it was like, but as far as what The Witch did, I think it did a very excellent job of it.
Like The
This
Lighthouse is a film I've actually watched probably like 100 times by now.
I've watched it a significant number of times
It's
too.
it's really good. I don't think I've watched any other Eggers movie like that though, and I think
No, it's
like
the only one like that. I think I watched The Witch twice. I've watched Nosferatu more than once just because I was enjoying and kind of laughing at some scenes.
The Northman was like I got the concept, but I was bored by
I made
it.
it halfway through and then I stopped.
It was there was one review that had the best description of it, the most apt description of it I can think of, which is this movie has the heaviest concentration of naked men screaming at each other of any film in Hollywood history, and it's like I was just bored by it because it's like, well, what would it actually be like to be a Viking? And I'm like, okay, cool. Why does this have to be 3 hours? Like I'm bored. I don't. This isn't.
It doesn't
adding
have to be
anything
3
for
hours.
me.
That's for goddamn sure.
It like I didn't get anything from it. It's like,
No one did.
wow, good.
But
Too
again,
bad for that guy, I
all
guess.
of those
Like,
same tricks were what was
yeah.
used in Nosferatu.
Yeah, but at least Nosferatu was a horror movie, so it was somewhat
Was it?
interesting.
So that's the other part.
I
There
think it was a
was
horror movie.
no part that I found intense.
I actually found the introduction, like when he gets to the castle, very intense. I thought that was very good. I thought that was actually very good. I think the transition from like, oh, it's just a guy in a robe to, oh, this is actually like something's very wrong. I thought that was actually very effectively done.
Wow. I can't imagine why we would be expecting that something would be wrong with that guy.
But it did. But that's the thing, though. It took like a trite, overplayed thing that was done before and did it really effectively, so you were still tense. I thought it was
Well,
very
for
good.
you, for me,
No, I thought
there
it
was
took. I thought
nothing in
it
it
took.
that was tense. There was again Renfeld, and I like this guy. I think he's good in a lot of stuff. Renfeld had first half is far better than the second half. They kind of didn't know what to do with
Yes, I
the
agree.
hilarious allegory of what that film was, but that had more intensity in terms of not knowing what was going to happen or how things would what land. Like this one was so exceptionally predictable. Like if you didn't know how this movie would end in the first 5 minutes, you just probably have never
You
seen
didn't
a
know
movie.
it was. You didn't know it was a ripoff of Dracula called Nosferatu.
I mean, literally every beat of the movie is predictable, though. And you don't have to do that. You don't have to do those remakes. I would say that's not necessarily true in the same way for Herzog's, who plays the things in different orders and introduces things suddenly and quickly and harshly
Well,
versus
so does this one. Like, there's no Van Helsing character in the original. It's literally the woman who
well, yeah,
discovers the rules.
But that's literally like one of the things that makes this suck is why is Van Helsing in this, and why do we know who that is, and why is that?
I've got a better.
That's extended
I've
universe.
got a better one. Honestly,
it felt
like,
the same as like at the end of.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. Like, I actually disagree because I think the interest in Dracula is fundamentally in like this. This is what I get from horror movies like this. Like, have you ever seen Kingdom, the Korean Netflix zombie film? It's like that was really good. But the most interesting parts about that were like smart people from the period using contemporary methods to figure it out. And like that's the interest in the Van Helsing character is it turns the horror into a mystery, and you're sort of watching Columbo with spookier, higher stakes, and that's enjoyable. The thing that disappointed me about this is that they introduced the character, that's his role, and then he just doesn't. Like the whole mystery is just like, oh, we just have to let him get a victim. It's like, okay, so you were useless then because this would have happened. That's the thing. It's like the vampire already wanted to like eat the woman, so you didn't do anything. He just did the thing he was going to do, and that would have happened anyways.
It was a bad time for Skarsgård, to say the least. It was a bad time for Skarsgård because Nosferatu, and then at the same time he was also in another reboot of a beloved semi-horror action series of a dark main character that. If you didn't know, isn't very good. The reboot of The Crow was not.
It is. It is. Oh, I think this one's gonna. I think he'll be fine. I think generally the response to Nosferatu has been generally good.
You think so?
It's like what were
no. It's been loved. I am in the.
The audience score is definitely lower than the critic score, which I tend to trust more these days, especially because this is fundamentally like. Here's the thing. Eggers is like an auteur. He's like
he is.
These are sophisticated art films for discriminating critics.
Well, I mean, I think we could say that before this movie.
But this isn't though. This is just.
This moved him out of that realm for me because.
Well, that's the thing. It is
that space is for like my buddy Panos Cosmatos, who did Under the Black Rainbow, who did Mandy. That's an auteur artist, and I think before this I would have kept Eggers in that category, but this pulled him straight the fuck out.
No, this was just like retro schlock. This was just like
it's schlock.
This is schlock from 100 years ago now.
Hi,
a happy thought.
Oh, I don't have a happy thought, but I have a secret to tell you.
No, it's about a happy thought. Hello?